Got it.
So as you can imagine, it's been an interesting 2 weeks and a lot has come down for me, a lot of downloads. And thank you, Lily, for such an amazing post about the 9-9 portal. That is really very symbolic and very in line with so much that has come down for me too, which I'm going to speak about. So I don't want to forget the things that have been coming in for me during these 2 weeks, that also have to do with what you posted, because there is a completion coming on online. And it's for those of us that are awake and aware, like we are. I believe our group is quite awake and quite aware of these conditions that are coming into the planet and coming into our earthbound lifetimes at this moment in time. For those of us who feel it, who are empathic to it, who have an awareness of the energy that is being downloaded literally into our humanity, we are sensitive. Okay. And like some of the information that you posted said, we could be experiencing all kinds of things in our physical bodies, right? That we don't even understand. Like, how is it that I'm feeling a big headache for absolutely no reason, or flu-like symptoms, or a cold, or, it feels like I'm getting a cough, but it doesn't really come through and it doesn't become anything, right? I don't know how many of you have been noticing something coming into your physical body. For me, it's been aches and pains and joint, like my hip completely went out when I got to Sweden after the wedding, of course, because I felt, it's really interesting. I have never experienced so much love in a room in this wedding. This wedding was full of love. Like, you could feel palpably how much love there was in that room, how much love everyone had for each other. And in Swedish tradition, which is really interesting, in Swedish tradition, the wedding goes like this, right? First of all, you never sit next to the person you came with. So they mix you up. Every table mixes you up so that you're with a completely different group of people. Maybe people you know, maybe people you don't, but you are completely mixed up, boy, girl, all over, so that you're not sitting next to the person that you're with all the time, right? So it starts conversation, it starts interaction, which that was a beautiful thing. Then during the entire ceremony of getting to the place, where we're having our appetizers, etc., and our food, there are speeches about the people that are getting married, the couple. And there were 13 speeches, literally. And they're not even just speeches, they're skits, like they're completely poetry, singing, drama. I mean, everything telling the story about this couple, building you up, whether you know the couple the way that you know them or someone else knows them. You start getting to know them and the energy of their life. And it's so incredibly beautiful and enriching. Now, most of you don't know Chelsea, but Chelsea happens to have one of the most beautiful voices. In fact, I always used to tell Magita, what is she doing studying nursing? She should be on Broadway. That's how talented this girl is. And of course, she started off the wedding with a waltz because she wanted a fairy tale wedding. So they come down this staircase, both him and her, him in full black tie tux with tails, and her in this gown that looked like it was from a Disney princess movie, okay? And they come join together on the dance floor, on this gorgeous parquet dance floor in this room that looks like Versailles, okay? And they waltz together, something they practiced as a couple to be able to do, right? Then in the middle of these speeches, she has him stand in the middle of the dance floor, and she comes towards him singing to him. Now, the reason I'm going through this detail is because it's going to set us up for what we're going to talk about today. We, human beings, are all about story. Everyone has a story, but it is story that opens your heart. So needless to say, after 13 speeches, a gorgeous song sung to her husband when he grabs her hand, and he could hardly hold himself straight. Like literally he was melting on the dance floor from her beautiful singing. He holds her hand. He can't help but give her a kiss. And you're watching this in pure gratitude because you feel the love expand in your heart for them, how much they love each other, right? And at the end, he was the last speech. Okay, he stood up after 13 speeches. His speech, he goes on to just not use the vows that were given to him by the church, but his own vows. And he goes through a list of vows to her in front of this huge, huge room with all of these people in it, witnessing his vows. And he starts it off with a quote that says, "I want you to know that I love you. I don't love you because I need you. I need you because I love you. And that is how I want our life to be. I want you to need me because you love me, and not the other way around." Well, needless to say, there wasn't a dry eye in the entire room. And all of us were experiencing this feeling of love and gratitude for them, and also for ourselves, and all the love, because when we walked into the reception area where we were having our champagne toast, Magita and Chelsea had taken the time to ask everyone that was married in that in the guest list to send a picture of their wedding. Of course, I didn't have a picture of my wedding. I only had a picture of the day that Carlos and I tied the knot, civilly. But each one was in a frame all over the room, reminding us of when we had taken our vows. So when I tell you there was a lot of love in that room, and there was a lot of gratitude, you could feel it, okay? So as I tell you this story, and the reason I'm telling you this story is because that is the key to our gratitude practice. It's about story. It's not about just how we've been taught. The Oprah version of the gratitude practice. Hi, Anna. The Oprah version of the gratitude practice is pretty simple, right? Every night we write down 5 things we're grateful for, and it's kind of like this. I'm grateful for my children, and I'm grateful for my home, and I'm grateful for my husband, and I'm grateful for this. And there's nothing wrong with that. On the contrary. But what if I told you that if you elaborate on this gratitude practice, you can literally change your energetic field immediately? And that with this practice, 2-3 times a week, you can completely transform your life. This is neuroscience, not just woo-woo, okay? For real. Now, remember when we talked about heart coherence and the power of getting our heart entrained with our mind, right? That this is how we manifest when we are able to connect our hearts and our minds together vibrationally in sync, okay? Gratitude practice actually takes it to the next level and is the most effective way to get into coherence quickly and permanently. You've heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza and how he talks about this heart coherence, right? That literally he will wire people up. They go into meditation, and when they're in sync, they can see it on the screen through their brain waves and through their heart waves, right? Well, gratitude practice actually produces that immediately and quickly. And it doesn't take deep meditation. Isn't that incredible? So neuroscience has started to prove that they created a study, okay, that they took people from all over the world, they were separate, okay, not all together in a room, not in a control space, and they wired them up and they told them a story of gratitude, a story that represented something like what I just told you, right? And every single one of those people had the same exact wavelength occur in their bodies. They matched up. Over 30 people within 3 minutes of telling the story. Now, that's pretty freaking amazing, okay? So that means that we are wired for this. This is what we are, but we forget. Because unfortunately, we are bombarded with negative stories all the time, right? Instead of positive stories that are uplifting our vibration, we get told negative stories that in fact create fear within us, which also affects our neurology, also affects our bodies. So getting back to our bodies, right? How is it that our bodies are a conduit of expression for our soul, and not the other way around? So what if we were able to change the way we feel with a story? And what if it could happen so quickly that immediately you get into coherence? And if you're consistent with this practice, you are able to change your DNA. That's pretty amazing. So what I started researching as I went into this download of what it is to be in gratitude, because needless to say, after this trip of going to Sweden, I couldn't be in more gratitude. I mean, not only did I witness one of the most beautiful joining of love in a couple, a young couple that was starting their life together, and also witness so many other people in the room that were guests that were also in love. I mean, the room glowed in pink light. I'm going to post a picture so you guys can see this. It seems like it wasn't even for real, but it was. Okay. Literally the things we see in Disney fairy tales. Okay. But then I got to stay in this beautiful place where literally every morning I'd wake up and there's swans floating on the lake. Okay, come on. Seriously? Swans? Every day there's swans like la, 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 dancing on the lake, okay? So all I could think about was gratitude and gratitude and gratitude. And that's the energy with which I came home. Then I started to get the downloads. In fact, there was a download for me that really literally woke me up. As you can imagine, my timing was off. So I woke up like at 5:30 in the morning, for the first night. And what woke me up was Our Lady of Fatima. And like these weird downloads that I get, I woke up saying Our Lady of Fatima. So I literally stood up in my bed and I wrote it down, because I'm like, what is she trying to tell me? Our Lady of Fatima. This has happened to me before, as you know, when I've talked to you about Saint Germain, that he showed up, that Saint Lazarus showed up for me. And then this one, Our Lady of Fatima. And honestly, I have no clue what the story of Our Lady of Fatima was. So I had to look it up, okay? And Our Lady of Fatima was a story of a time in near World War, the World War time, where she showed up in Portugal to 3 children with messages for the world that in order to elevate, we needed to pray. Praying the rosary, she recommended fasting. Now, that was interesting. And I'm like, fasting? Wow, I do that all the time. And I can tell you, fasting for me has not only been a physical experience, it's been a spiritual experience. The more I fast, the more downloads are clear for me. But she also said that there's another type of fasting, which is fasting of stimulation from the outside world that can cloud your judgment. Okay, which I do all the time. I literally I don't watch the news because I can't handle it. I can't handle what it does to me. I figure that if something's got to be told to me, it'll be told to me. Okay, I'll find out. You know, if a hurricane's coming, I'm going to know, right? Especially in Miami. Come on, the shelves will be empty. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that what she was saying to me was the importance of prayer. And I think that all of us, I think we're a very prayerful group. Hence what Leo posted this week. Immediately when there's something going on out there that needs our help, we go into prayer. And I love that. But it reminded me that sometimes we get caught up in the fact that prayer has to be more formal, but it does not at all. In fact, the greatest prayer and the best prayer that exists starts with 2 words, and that is thank you. So we've been trained since children to pray with supplication, right? But prayer is not about supplication. Prayer is about thanking in gratitude. Hence the importance of the energy of gratitude. So our prayers could be as simple as thank you for this and this and this. Thank you for my life. Thank you for my, and you know, we've heard the rampages from Abraham Hicks, right? They're so effective. If you go into those prayers of gratitude, immediately your vibration rises. But what's beautiful about this, and what Our Lady of Fatima was trying to tell me, was that this is a time in which prayer could not be more valuable. Hence the 9-9 portal. Hence the energetic ushering in of a new era. We need to do this collectively, okay? And the only way that we can do this collectively is believing in it. We have to believe that our prayers count. We have to believe that our gratitude counts. We have to believe that through our prayers and through our gratitude practices, we can elevate the collective consciousness of this planet. We can do this, but we have to be able to do it together. It's not about just me or you or any one of you. It's all of us together, collectively, just as Leo asking for prayers for Jalen. Okay? So firstly, I want to talk a little bit more about the gratitude practice and how we are going to shift our gratitude practice to a more story-based practice. And I want you guys to experiment with this. I want you to see what happens when you select something to be grateful for in a story and share it, and also experience what it feels like to receive it. So instead of going down the list of 5 items or 5 things that you're grateful for, okay, in your journals, elaborate on just one. So for example, I would say, I'm so grateful for my daughter being so happy. It's so beautiful to witness her coming home with a smile on her face, and the joy that I see when she plays with her daughters in front of me, and me being able to experience it as a grandmother, something that I know I wasn't able to do as a mother, and that I've been given a second chance to feel what it feels like to witness this simple joy of my daughter's smile. I'm grateful. I am so very grateful. That's the kind of story that we need to elaborate on. And when that happens, just like I'm tearing up, your heart expands and your prayers are heard. So instead of just writing a list, I challenge you this week to write a story and to share it with others. Share it with whoever when you want, with your daughters, with your husband. Just tell a story and see what happens. I'm sure that if you sit here and I asked you, when can you recall feeling a sense of deep gratitude for something that was pure grace, something that happened serendipitously, that you didn't expect and were grateful for? Write that story down. Because every time you do that, not only will your heart burst with gratitude, but literally, quite literally, your body transforms. Your vibration rises. It produces serotonin in your body. It's similar to when we exercise, believe it or not, or when we meditate deeply. It produces the same neurological effect. And it transfers your attitude from what's called being defensive. You know how damaging being in a defensive mode is? When someone attacks you with unkindness, right? Hasn't that ever happened to you? When someone attacks you with some unkind thing like road rage, that's a simple one, right? Doesn't your body react? Don't you feel like an adrenaline rush of like, oh God, how dare they? You know, whenever you've been shot a bird, like, you know, you're trying to make a left turn, you're kind of clueless, you forgot to put your indicator on, whatever, you're in your own head, and this guy or girl next to you is shooting a bird at you. Don't you feel like, doesn't that feel like an arrow into your heart? At least for me, it does, right? So imagine the opposite. Imagine if you're cluelessly making that stupid left turn and they look at you and they say, you don't even have to say words, right? What happens when they go like, it's okay, it's all right, I got you. How do you feel now? You feel gratitude. You feel, oh my God, thank you. I was acting like an idiot. We could have gotten into an accident. Thank you, right? Do you see the energy shift? And how does that shift in your body? Doesn't it feel different? And how long did that take? 2 seconds, 30 seconds, maximum. What a different world would it be if everyone acted in kindness and in compassion instead of rage, right? But guess what? It has to begin with us, because the more we are grateful, the more gratitude we will receive, because that's just the law of attraction. And we know this, don't we? We know this. So this week, I challenge all of you to write down a story each day of gratitude. Read it to yourself and read it to others and see what happens in them. And by the end of that week, you will feel differently. And instead of causing a defensive reaction You're going to switch your neurological body into a pro-social energy. Quite literally, scientifically, this is what's going to happen in your body. And that was the most amazing thing that I found out as I was looking into gratitude practices. Because we all know that expressing gratitude is important. In fact, for me, it's become imperative. But I've recognized that I have to ask myself sometimes, if I'm not receiving gratitude for, let's say, from my clients as they are working with me, I have to ask myself, have I been expressing myself in gratitude? Whenever you're not receiving gratitude, the first thing you need to do is begin to shower others with gratitude. Because it's in that action that by default, it will return to you. The law of reciprocity, which we've talked about. It's the cause and the effect. Okay. So going back to Our Lady of Fatima's message of prayer. I've been speaking for the last few weeks about the numerology and the numbers that keep coming in of 5, 555, 505. And I recognize that as change, right? Change, change, change. I know that it's 5 symbolizes change, and that sometimes change is coming in a way that is not necessarily comfortable, but necessary. Okay. And I have been asking literally, what do you mean by this? What's going on with the 5 and the 5 and the 5 and the 5? And Florinda witnesses me all the time, like say, oh, there it is, 555, 505, 555, 555. Every 5 minutes is 555, right? It's almost like, yeah, what's up with you? All right. And you know what I realized? It hit me that I understand now what is being said. The change that is going from 3D to 5D. Now, some of you are already in this mode and have read a lot about this and gone into the YouTube rabbit hole and listened to the 5D reality coming in and being ushered in. But what Fatima is saying, that it's now. It has never been closer. It has never been more accessible. And this portal that Lily posted about is completion and change. So the message is fourfold for me. It was gratitude practices so that we can usher in this change together. Prayerfully, fasting from negative energies so that we can stay vibrationally strong, so that we can be the first to receive the energetic vibrations that are coming into the planet, so that we can collectively rise and usher in the 5th dimension. That's the 5. Okay, I got it. I finally got it. It only took me like, I don't know, 5 months. No, I'm just kidding. But what I'm saying is that it's doable. And this morning, I was given a message. It's to watch CBS News right before the class, and they were talking about the Nehemiah Project. And when I was in Sweden, I'm going to share a quick story with you guys. Magita's good friend stayed with us for a few days after the wedding. Her name is Marta. I invited her to the class, but she has never been on. And I was telling her about our story. Florinda and I work diligently every year creating affordable housing projects. Okay. And I have to say, it's part of the most fulfilling work that I do. And right before we left, right, Florinda, right before we left, right before I left on vacation, we were honored to be attending the grand opening of one of the most beautiful affordable housing projects that we've ever created, called Hudson, right? And during those grand openings, they always bring up someone that is living in the building. There are two people living in the building. This time it was a young woman with her, she's a single mom with her little girl, and another lady that came up, and they tell their testimonial and their story, right? And I couldn't help think about how beautiful it is whenever we're sitting there, both Florin and I start crying, because we know that we've been a part of creating these beautiful homes for people that could never afford it. They barely have any kind of design or quality in their home. And it's so in line with what I do and what I write about, that everyone deserves to have their home feel sacred, that it couldn't be more meaningful. And I couldn't be more in gratitude of being able to produce this. So here is Marta in Sweden, sitting with me on the couch, and I'm telling her about these projects that we do, because she's thinking of me as this high-end designer. Magita and we've worked together for years, and all the gorgeous residential projects we've done. And I tell her, no. Half of my work, if not more than half, has become these beautiful, affordable housing projects. And I'm super proud to do them, right? And she goes on to tell me how many incredible projects there are all around the country, that I need to be like the affordable housing queen, that I've got to like be this advocate, and that there's all these government things and grants and stuff. And she goes and she downloads and she sends them to me. I mean, the woman is incredible. She's like an attorney and an accountant all wrapped into one. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, she's throwing all of this at me, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, she's right. So she sends me this morning this CBS episode that, again, made me cry before I got onto this call, about the Nehemiah Project. And here you see these people that have waited years and years to own their homes all over the country. This is happening. And you see the stories of these people in such deep gratitude of saying, I never thought that I'd be able to have a home to give to my family that I could afford. And I'm telling you, I was like blown away. And at the end of the episode, right before I got on with you guys, the pastor that initiated, that's why it's called the Nehemiah Project, the pastor that initiates it says these words. He says, you can't be what you can't see. Okay. And I was like, wow, it's true. We can't be what we can't see. We need to collectively see a new world. We need to be able to believe it. Because if we can't see it, we can't be it. And guess what the interviewer said to him? Said, amen. On CBS Live, right? Amen to that. So what if we're able to see? What if us right here on this Zoom call today are the privileged ones that can actually envision this world that we're ushering in, that is not visible yet, but believable? Do you guys believe in me? Do you believe in this possibility? Do you believe that it could be possible that we could live in a world in which everyone can live in harmony and unity and love, like the fairy tale wedding that I attended? You think it's possible? I hope you all say yes. I hope you all say yes. Because if you can say yes, and you can believe it, and you can see it, we can be it. And that's the message that's been coming through to me. And whatever I can do to help make that happen, I'm going to do it. And if it means expanding and being the affordable housing queen, that's what I'm going to be. Because those possibilities are doable if we believe. But it has to start with us. And we have to start by being grateful, because we have beautiful homes to live in. We have beautiful families to share our life with. We have beautiful experiences like traveling and having food on our plates. We have a lot to be grateful for. I feel blessed every day. And I'm in deepest gratitude to be able to share these moments with all of you and inspire all of you, including myself, every Sunday, to be able to deliver a message of hope and faith and love and grace. So practice your gratitude, guys. It's very powerful. And remember to pray every day with the simple words, thank you, starting out your prayer. It doesn't have to be a rosary, even though Fatima would love it. It doesn't have to be formal. It just has to be done. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I love you. Namaste.